Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Church School Hour. The Sunday Church School Hour is being brought to you by the Sunday Church School Council of the Mount Zion Baptist Church, located at 417 Ridgemont in Kansas City, Kansas, with your teacher and host, the Reverend C.L. Backus of the Mount Zion Baptist Church.
Yeah, it's a some of these popsicles.
Bring them over here and give them to Stacy.
I can't win.
When I go to the radio station, me and Anthony gonna take straight out.
There you go. There you go.
Some
Popsicles.
Well,
I did take my study Bible with me, and I let them know every time that we go over a lesson that I highlight each part of it so I can go back and read it.
All right. Well, anyway, Andy, you help me remind that we're going to make sure that we're
going to bring him a reward.
Yeah, going to bring him a reward. And then we're going to bring him some popsicles, so, you know.
And you know Joe Biden,
he kind of broke out a little bit this past week.
Yeah.
He's still going to lose. He's still going to lose.
I don't know, man.
You might win this one.
This weekend.
Yeah. Sanders is singing the song that Amos is doing here in the Sunday school lesson. So I don't know about all of that. Well, these are some interesting times. Yeah. These are some very interesting times.
Sure is.
And Mr. Stop and Frisk said he apologized for the way he treated black people.
Well, he says to some degree that the people kind of took it a little further.
They abused it.
Yeah, they abused it.
Yeah,
and when you're working with human beings, it is difficult to keep that from happening in a situation of that nature. You know, I don't know if, however, let us remember from everything they say is that a great percentage of the people, they didn't find nothing on them, but they also, that killings and stuff went down.
The crime went down, the killings went down.
As a result.
Because you know you was going to get stopped and you was going to get frisked. Oh, and they passed the hanging law finally. That lynching, it's a federal law. You can't lynch anybody now.
Can't do what?
You can't lynch anybody. Hang them.
Can't lynch nobody.
No, they finally got it. Even though 5 of them didn't vote for it, the majority did.
We can talk bad now. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
That don't mean they won't lynch you. They just said it's illegal.
Get off the front row. They put in the alley.
Our deacon, Brother Womack, he said when he was in the Army, you know, Thomas is kind of short, you know, and he was small back in them days. He done picked up a few pounds now. But he said he don't know why he picked on the biggest man to jump on. And he don't know why he done that. And it just tickles me all the time. And so that's what we're dealing with this situation. They're picking the biggest. And we hope and pray that things work out and that the right somebody mess around and get this signed. We have to always be careful, and I'm going to be through with this because we got something else to talk about, but we got to be always careful. And many people who is too young now don't remember in 1970 or somewhere thereby in that area, they nominated George McGovern, who was a very liberal Democrat at the time, to be the candidate for the Democratic Party,
Yep,
I remember that.
and had a lot of ideas that was way beyond the norm. You know what I mean?
Right. Too far
All
to the
of it,
left.
all of it wasn't bad. I think that's the key to it. And he was too far to the left, and they crushed the Democratic Party. Not only the gubernatorial candidate, but they crushed all of the people who was intending to go in on his coattail.
Down the line.
Well, you know, sometime like in Obama's case, it once or twice. At least in one of the elections, he took a whole lot of congressmen and senators and things won as a result of it.
Right.
Until that period of time in history, I was in Arkansas. Well, I had just left Arkansas and come here. There weren't hardly no Republicans in state houses in states like Mississippi and Arkansas and Tennessee and most of them states, Alabama and Georgia. Every one of them state houses almost was controlled by Democrats. And in Washington, D.C. too, the congressmen and senators and things like that. It was at that point where the Republican Party started rebuilding. And from then on until Bill Clinton got there, they just kicked people going and coming. I'm not a historian, but I do remember it was during that period in history that I began to pay a whole lot of attention to politics, presidential politics, and governors, because you know that was during George Wallace's days and Arbor Farbus in Arkansas and Barnett in Mississippi and all of them kind of people, you know. And Strong Thurman in South Carolina, who turned Republican, who was one of the most staunch Dixiecrat Democrats you ever known, you know what I mean? But he turned Republican before he retired or whatever happened to him. So we do have to watch that, you know, as off the shelf as the administration is now. If you put the wrong somebody in there against Donald Trump and the Republican Party, they're gonna
eat them up.
They'll eat them up.
Eat them up.
I just hope we make the best sense we can. Let me say this: I left one of our pieces of literature at home, but I got to take them in to do this. I'm going to fax one back to Brother Stacy for the radio station here and to get in Brother Myron Field's hands too. At the end of the month, gentlemen, we are planning the Baptist Minister Union, the Carr Valley District Association, the City Mission, State Layman's, all of us are coming together to plan what we call Families Back to Church Day. Black families back to church. At the end of the day, the only vehicle and institutions we've had that held us together from slavery till now has been the black church and the black family.
Amen.
We didn't have nothing else before before the NAACP, before equal employment opportunities, before Martin Luther King, before SCLC, before all of that. You know, it was the church and the family that kept us with the glue.
That's right.
That held the black community together. And gentlemen, that ain't no joke. We ain't trying to fool nobody into this. We simply did not have anything else. I was born and raised in Mississippi 80 years ago. I know what it was, and back then it wasn't no different than it was 100 years ago. Where slavery and deprivation of black people was so obvious you could slice it with a knife, you know, and with a bread knife is that. So it didn't have to be sharp, you know, what they call a butter knife. It didn't have to be sharp at all. And we are trying to get people back to their roots. So we want to have a big day. I left the format right, you know, on my desk. I was intending to bring it, but on March the 29th, which is the fifth Sunday in the month, all of the churches in Kansas City, Kansas that we can get, and I know all the churches where the pastors and things, members of the Baptist Ministers Union and Carr Valley Association and all of that group, we will be having all day long, starting at the Sunday Church School hour, families back to church.
Amen.
And we are
Amen.
urging
Amen.
our memberships to try to get their family members who is not in church.
Yes, sir.
And we ain't trying to get them to leave their church and come to another, but I'm talking about just family members who are not in church at all. We don't want people to try to make them join church. Just get them there.
Amen.
Let's get them there that Sunday. You know, you got a cousin, you got a brother that I know. You know, maybe.
Amen. Amen.
And what's your sister name? I don't know if she in church. I
Yeah,
think.
she's
But,
at church. Yeah.
yeah, but anyway,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I got folks, you know, that needs to be there. So we want to get all them people back to church from Sunday school hour to worship service. And that's the fifth Sunday, which is the 29th of March at 5 p.m. that evening. And Mount Zion is going to host that meeting at 5 p.m. that Sunday afternoon. We're going to come together from all over the city, and there's going to be a prayer meeting, and we want everybody to focus on praying for the family. We don't want to be praying for the president and for nobody else. We're talking about praying for the family structure, for unity and spirituality in the family, that we might return to our roots. From 5 to 6 o'clock, we'll be praying. We'll open up the sanctuary for women. We have an East Fellowship Hall where the men, pastors, and the laymen can come together and pray together. Young people in the West Fellowship Hall. And at 6 o'clock, we'll all come together in the auditorium in the sanctuary for a night of prayer and preaching and singing and praying. And what a time that's going to be. I'm just really passionate about that. We finally found a scripture theme. We were looking for some, me and the boys, we were working on it. Now, look like that on the cover.
Yes, sir.
Of losing our ethnic race if we do not.
Yeah, you know,
the restoration of our families and getting people back. We had two predominant institutions that has saved us. I remember, and even where Reverend Anthony Spot had school in the church.
Amen.
It was the church on Sunday and school 5 days during the week while the school was going on. So it was everything. That's where we was act mannish at. You met nice little girls. And, I remember a little girl named Geraldine McDonald that I was crazy about. And I knew she was going to be at church. I couldn't hardly wait to go to church. I'd like to go to church too, but I have to admit that there was some incentive as well, you know.
You know, but even though, you know, I didn't come from that background, though, you know, within my family, my mother and father, the church was an important, you know, aspect of our life, you know.
Well, they brought it on.
They brought it from there and brought it here. And they was able to continue to do that. And that's what we've lost now, is that's you know, like the Bible tells us, if you don't keep on reminding things in a generation, it's gone, you know. And that's what the family does. It's supposed to do. It's supposed to continue doing that.
They build the house of the Lord by everybody in the family bringing family members.
That's right.
Encouraging them to be saved and to bring them to church.
Yeah.
Now the grandma don't go to church, the mama don't go, the children ain't been there. And somehow or another we've been fooling, believing that people will be inherently good. There ain't nobody who ever been born that is inherently good.
That's what Scripture says.
Learning manners, to be compassionate, to love. All of those are learned practices. Nobody is born with that in them.
That's right.
We're sinners.
That's right. Yeah.
We lack mess and junk. You know what I mean? That's what our nature is about, because we are born alienated and separated from God. So we hope that this will be a model that can be used for many communities, but we are passionate about this. We're going to invest in it heavily. Whatever has to be done to make it happen, and we want people there. That's smart to run out. All the month people can be pressing on it. Our prayer teams at Mount Zion going to start working on it right now. Sister LMA, our major, colonel, whatever, over the prayer captains will be calling them and getting them started to praying for this even right now. And we asked another pastors to create prayer groups who would not only come together that Sunday evening and pray. We don't want them praying for no 15 or 20 different things. There comes a time.
One focal point.
There comes a time when you need focused prayer.
Yes, sir.
And this will be prayer that will be focused. I'm excited about it. We're going to have community-wide choir singing, a few solos. We're going to have some actually good preaching. We're going to have one person to lecture on the necessity of the family unity and Christian faith for a few minutes, and then we're going to have a powerful sermon, and we're going to praise God, extend the invitation, hope that some evangelistic work will come out of there, and go home and see when we're going to do it again.
Yeah.
Amen.
And continue the spirit.
I'm working.
Yeah. We need, even if after that's over, we need that spirit to continue on.
Yeah. We hope that they'll pack us for days to come.
Yeah. A starting point.
I got that over with. Now, the other thing is today the Sunbeams meet. The male chorus doesn't meet today, and the youth choir does not meet, because this is Saturday before the first Sunday. It ain't the first Saturday.
Yeah.
Everything I do is either before a Sunday or it's after a Sunday, because that's where I operate my calendar. I've been pastoring the church. Gentlemen, on the third Sunday this month, I preached my first sermon 57 years ago, and was called pastor my first church 56 years ago. And guess what? The first church I pastored was right next door to where Reverend Spike was born and raised at. I don't know if DeSoto County. Olive Branch is still in DeSoto County. Yes, there's a county between DeSoto County and Marshall.
No, that's it.
Over in that east area.
No, I think it's still Marshall County.
Yeah, Marshall County run up to DeSoto County. Yeah. So the next county, I founded my first church in Olive Branch, Mississippi, starting the third Sunday in March in 1964.
Amen.
That's a long time ago. Well, I was a little bitty boy almost. And so that is interesting. That's part of a anniversary coming up. So tomorrow morning there's communion, and then there is on Friday night we are going to be going to Reverend Jimmy Banks again, his 26th anniversary at the Strangers Rest Baptist Church at 5th and Stewart there in Kansas City, Kansas. We hope that all of our people and the people of Strangers Rest come out and encourage that family on Friday night.
Amen.
Those are a couple of things that were going on. I took a lot of time pushing our other issue because it's vitally important. Last but not least, necessarily, is that I hope people will, as we move around and move from one house to the other one, will go ahead and change our addresses so everybody will be able to vote this year. People are going to go to the polls. They're going to be vitally important. We can't sit back and talk about it don't count and don't make no difference. We're in a critical time in the history of America, and we need to be prepared to make some changes.
Amen.
And so we want to do that. That's just what needs to be done.
Yes, sir. That's right.
So we thank God for
it.
Well, we did end up Youth Month being one of our best Youth Months. And Spite, our group have, I believe, reached this goal once again with on the non-perishable goods that we share with some 2 or 3 food pantries there in Kansas City at the end of Youth Month. And we've been able to have anywhere from 3,500 to 4,000 pieces, cans and non-perishable food goods to put in pantries, in several 2 or 3 pantries there in the community in Kansas City, Kansas. We kind of decided a long time ago that we we tried to do a pantry a little while, years and years ago. I might have been before either one of y'all was really active. We didn't have the space to do it and didn't have the infrastructure, but we did what we could. We finally we just cut it out. Ever since then, we have found out, however, it sometimes makes sense that if you got somebody else who is doing the job well,
help them.
That you don't need to duplicate
Right.
it. Yeah, you don't want to half do something that somebody next door is doing well.
Doing it right, yeah.
And addressing the same group of people that you trying to address.
Yeah.
You just ain't prepared to do it, and they are. So it makes sense to make contributions to those agencies that has stood the test of time, and that now they may not be perfect, they may miss somebody here.
Amen.
But they doing the best job they can.
Yes,
they
sir.
do have ways of tracking people. They know who they help.